class, fun, and food. Yes, it's a grand, spectacular day to get away. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR.
And to also have with us this morning in the first hour of the show, Patty McMurray. Both joining us from StreamYard. You see Patty at home, and she's in her home studio this morning, making her debut as a co-host on the Frank Beckmann Show, but not as a guest on the show, because Patty has been with us before. Let's go back a few years, Patty, because you and Lisa Audette, who founded the website that you're so proud of, are that's 100% Fed Up, of course. You were in our studio not all that long ago, but a little while back.
It was a while ago, yeah. We were actually.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we were working with Americans for Prosperity. We were co-hosts of an Obamacare, anti-Obamacare rally in Dearborn. That was a huge success, actually. Yeah, so that's the last time we were on. We were talking about, you actually asked us about how we got started and how our website and Facebook became so popular.
Well, it's been incredibly popular too, hasn't it? I mean, could you ever imagine more than 1 million people following you?
No, I couldn't have. And to be honest with you, before the last election, 2016, we had between 36 and 38 million hits a week on our Facebook page. And then after President Trump was inaugurated, Facebook took away about 90% of our traffic, and it's never been restored since then. Yeah, so.
Well, I want to welcome in a couple of guests here that we have on the line, people that you might have seen down at TCF Center in Detroit during the election on November the 3rd, because they were also poll watchers or poll challengers, if you will. And I'm counting on saying these names correctly, okay? Christina Caramo, is that correct? That's one.
Uh-huh.
And Chris Shornack is also with us. Christina, good morning. Nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me on.
And Chris, you are there as well?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Frank.
Beautiful. And you both know Patty, I take it?
Yes,
yep.
We do.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about TCF Center and your experiences, how you got involved in it in the first place, and what you saw on election night. And Christina, ladies first, let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. So I was just serving as a poll challenger. I really didn't expect to see a whole lot, to be honest with you. I just thought it was important to be a part of the election process. You know, what gives us confidence in our republic is us being able to see what goes on and make sure everything is free and fair, if you will, and free of any irregularity, shall we say, and fair.
Right.
Well, I saw several things that were improper. One thing that we were just being prevented from getting access to information that helps us know that it's a fair process. For example, when there was a shift change on November 3rd, but after the one shift left at 9 p.m., another one was to begin at 10 p.m., we asked, and I myself personally asked multiple times for the count from the tabulation machines to make sure that they were at the correct starting point where the next shift started at 10 p.m. I was given the runarounds for about an hour to eventually be denied that information. And that's very critical. But the one particular incident that I testified regarding this before the Michigan Senate was that the adjudication table is basically where if a ballot has some kind of issue, it's like booted to these computers where it can be decided on what to do. Maybe the person didn't write clearly, mark the ballot clearly, or they voted more than they were supposed to for a particular race, which that section will be quarantined and thrown out. So this one particular area, this person had voted straight party, this person voted straight party ticket Democrat and straight party ticket Republican. And what was important about this is that they use filled-in circles for the vote. So if I use a filled-in circle, that's an intentional mark, not like a dash or a stroke or, something like that of the pen or pencil. And they made no other end marks on the entire ballot for judges, proposals, nothing else. And the poll worker just said, I'm going to give it to the Democrat. She just said it like, oh, I'm going to give it to the Democrats. So I challenged it. And I said, well, no, So I went to go get her immediate supervisor, at which time her immediate supervisor kind of turned to her and said, well, what do you think? I mean, it's like, can I drive 100 miles down Woodward? I don't need to ask a question. It's illegal. It's speeding. So we already know the rules. That's the whole purpose of the adjudicators, to see if there was an actual multiple votes or it was just like an accident. Well, a filled-in circle lets us know that. And so after she deferred to the young woman, I went to go get her supervisor, whose job it was to oversee the absentee counting process for that point in the night. Because of course, no one was there for the entire 24-hour period. So this gentleman, his name I do not know the top of my head, but it was job to relieve the main person, if you will. It was roughly 4 a.m.-ish. And I went to him, and he said the same thing. He asked the woman, what does she think? This is illegal. It's an illegal ballot. Should have been thrown out. And she wanted to give it to the Democrats because, again, it was a straight party ticket vote. And so then I, very frustrated, and I just simply asked, why give it to the Democrats over the Republicans? And the man proceeded to scream at me. He began, and there were witnesses there, so this is something that could be corroborated, because there were witnesses there, and I wrote a complaint immediately after it happened. He began to scream at me, telling me I couldn't talk to her, and because I just asked why give it to the Democrats over the Republicans. Then he proceeded to tell her to push the ballot through. It was an illegal ballot. He told her to push it through. And some people could say, well, that's just one ballot. Yeah, but that one ballot needs to be investigated. And if he is that brazen to commit fraud in my face, there's no telling what else he was willing to do. Because, it was just illegal. You can't do that.
Christina, did you go in as a poll watcher representing either party? Had you declared as a Republican poll watcher, say?
Well, yes, I am a Republican. So, yes, I did go in as a Republican poll watcher. But the thing about it is that it's a duty for all Americans to participate in our republic. Our nation is designed for citizen engagement, because when we don't engage as citizens, that means that the other people that are engaging don't have our best interest at heart. So, yes, I did go in as a Republican, but I didn't go in with the mindset of doing the bidding for the Republican Party. I went in to just watch and make sure everything was happening according to the law.
All right, Chris Shonak, let's get to your story, what you witnessed down at TCF.
Yeah, I volunteered as a nonpartisan poll watcher with the Election Integrity Fund. So although I'm a Republican, I went in as nonpartisan. And what makes my story, I can collaborate with what Christina said, and so can hundreds of others about the election fraud that we witnessed, is that originally on Tuesday, I was a poll challenger in Royal Oak. And I oversaw 25,000 ballots being counted. 19,000 of them were for Biden, 6,000 of them were for Trump. And the entire process from start to finish was done perfectly. So when I got the call to go to TCF Center Wednesday morning, my first question was, why? They should have been done counting all those ballots immediately on Tuesday. They had 25 high-speed tabulators. Royal Oak had 3. Detroit had 980 workers. Royal Oak had 50. So I'm like, what do you mean they can't get all the ballots counted? What I saw specifically, Frank, and it blows your mind when a crime is committed right in front of you. They would take ballots that were not registered voters. And what I'd like your listeners to hear is that they need to know what these words mean. Everybody knows what a registered voter is, but few people know what a qualified voter file is. The qualified voter file is the list of all registered voters. This is more specific to somebody who requests a ballot to do mail-in ballot or absentee ballot. When somebody asks for that ballot, you have their name, you have their address. This stuff matches. It's real easy. And like I said, in Royal Oak, they did this 25,755 times perfectly. And there was only 10 ballots that didn't match in Royal Oak. In Detroit,
you're in the Patty, and it's just absolutely breathtaking. It really is that we could have this kind of irregularity going on so blatantly in our election system. I'm at a loss for words to describe it any further.
Well, we took it further. I was at such a loss for words. They wouldn't let us challenge it. I almost even got arrested. The police officers took me away. They didn't put handcuffs on me, but they took me away, and then they let me go back. I let them know. I let the police officers know, hey, you're actually violating federal law by taking me out of here. So if I've committed a crime, just tell me. But if not, you need to let me go back in there. And after 30 minutes of him and hawing, they let me go back in. But check this out. I worked with Guard the Vote after the election, and we went through 30,000 absentee voters in Wayne County, just 30,000. And of those 30,000, we found 1% of them, 210, were deceased voters. We proved it. I got sworn testimony in front of the Senate Oversight Committee to Senator Santana saying, look, here's 240 deceased people that voted. And you got Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and these people going, where's the voter fraud? Just somebody tell me how a deceased person votes. But hold on, it gets worse, Frank. Then out of that 30,000 we went through, we found over 2,000, I think it's 2,660, that were living in vacant houses or burnt down lots. We actually have pictures of the address and the vacant lot in Detroit. How can these people have voted from vacant lot, burnt down houses? The fraud is so bad. I call it systemic, institutionalized election fraud in the city of Detroit. I actually feel sorry for them. Maybe some of them don't even know they're doing it wrong because
that's very possible. Hey, Chris, thank you for sharing the story. We really appreciate it. Sadly, we're out of time right now. Patty, stay where you are. We'll come right back, okay? Traffic and weather is next right now. Thank you for being with us, Chris Shormack, and thank you for what you did, too, in working at the polls. Really appreciate it, although it wasn't the most pleasant of experiences, obviously. Let's check that traffic and weather now. Here's Rich Lazinski.
WJR Traffic First is sponsored by the Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Make a career change today and join the skilled trades. The Carpenters LMPT contractors are looking for professional, hardworking individuals that want to build a career with great pay, full retirement, and family health care. Text JOB to 855-424-2562. That's JOB to 855-424-2562. 2 lanes are blocked on I-696 westbound at Middle Belt. An object is in the roadway causing backups from the Lodge. And we also have midday roadwork blocking your left lane on I-75 southbound at I-696. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Gordon Chevrolet. Gordon Chevrolet's December specials are fantastic. Real GM employee pricing.
That better not be a job offer.
Inventory is slim, so don't wait. Open Christmas Eve till 3. Back open Monday. And staying open late.
Do not disturb. I don't know what happened.
Ford Road, just west of Merriman and Garden City. GordonChevrolet.com. Gordon Chevrolet. Find new roads. Here's your forecast.
We continue to see a little bit more in the way of breaks in the overcast this afternoon. A northwest breeze and a high of 40. Overnight tonight, clouds come back in, low 31. Suburbs will be a little colder. Maybe a rain shower tomorrow with a high near 50 on a gusty south breeze. Christmas Eve, cloudy, 39. Christmas Day, cloudy, cold, 25. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stagicon, News Talk 760 WJR.
The colder weather's upon us, and that can mean more aches and pains. Now, I know a lot of us may not want to leave our home right now, but my friends at the Restore Wellness Center, they have enhanced.
I'd really love it if you would consider having Christina Caramo come back on and talk about that Rock the Vote issue. I think it's really critical that Michigan residents understand what happened with our and anybody who's registered to become a driver in the state of Michigan. Essentially, their information has been given to a third party.
Really?
Yes, and I think it's really important that people hear that because Christina was going to talk about that, and I know Linda Lee Tarver is part of that lawsuit.
Okay, what does Christina do?
She's a professor at online. She's an online professor at Wayne State University. Okay, but she's just a brilliant spokesperson for the Republican Party and for just election integrity. She's very, very interested in election integrity, and she has a really strong knowledge of elections and how they work. And I think that she's a great person to talk to. She's fun, she's engaging, but most of all, I think that this information that she has about Rock the Vote is really critical, and people should know about it.
They need the hope and encouragement of a good friend.
To schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Detroit area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Troy and Ann Arbor.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
It's a special episode of America's Wealth Management Show. Dean will be sharing some of his favorite moments from his podcast, The Guided Retirement Show. There's all kinds of fun interviews and more. Sunday night at 6 on WJR.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR.
And welcome back into the program, everybody. This first hour, we are sharing the microphone and the camera here on StreamYard with Patty McMurry, whom you see on your screen if you're watching us. She is the founder of 100% Fed Up. It's an extremely, extremely popular Facebook page where she and her partner, Lisa Audette, have had millions of subscribers, and they have stayed on top of election news. Patty was an election I don't want to say challenger, but an observer, if you will, down at TCF Center, along with a number of other people that saw some strange things going on. And among those were Christina Caramo, who's a professor at Wayne State University, you were telling me, Patty, and she specializes in election integrity, right?
Well, she's very interested in election integrity. She knows a lot about election law. She understands it, and she's really, in my opinion, she's doing more than a lot of people to bring a lot of the issues that we saw at the TCF Center to light.
Is it really possible, do you believe, after what you witnessed, that the results of the election, the actual results of the legitimate votes, were somehow overturned by or overshadowed by the phony ballots, the fraud that went on?
Yes, I have no doubt that the election, at least in Detroit, from what I saw, is not a legitimate election. That's my view. I've listened to Jocelyn Benson on your show multiple times talk about things like, she mentioned that the Detroit police had to cover the windows at the TCF Center because poll challengers were breaking the windows. That never happened. I was standing there when the poll challengers were standing outside, and they were a couple times they did bang on the windows.
Yeah,
but the windows
I think she was saying there was a fear the windows would be broken.
Well, she said the windows were being broken. In fact, I actually wrote about it on my website because I recorded, the conversation that she had, and she did say the windows were being broken, and she said the Detroit police had to cover the windows, and that never happened. Just like armed protesters never stood outside of her house, and the Detroit police attested to that there were never any armed protesters. So there's a lot of misinformation, but mostly coming from the top. And I think that's the hardest part, is that people listen to our Secretary of State and think, well, if she's not telling the truth about some of the most basic things that happened in our election, or that happened after our election and during, the counting process, why should we believe anything else that's being told by our government? So I think there are enough people that saw what happened down there to tell you that they believe that the election was not fair.
So, Patty, does this discourage you from becoming involved in the future in overseeing elections in the way that you volunteered to do?
I think the only thing that discourages me is I feel like time after time I put myself out there in these positions where I'm being, harassed and threatened and intimidated. And then the Republican Party kind of looks the other way and says they'll address it in the next election. Well, I think that 74 million Americans right now are feeling disenfranchised, and we don't want to see the Republicans address this in the next election. We don't feel like there ever will be a free and fair election if they don't address this now. And so my frustration is more with our local lawmakers, our state legislature, and even people in the U.S. Congress. I feel like this issue needs to be addressed now. This isn't something that we can kick the can down the road for later, because I think a lot of people won't vote in the next election because they feel like their vote won't matter, which is the thing that frightens me most.
Yeah, before we run out of time, I also want to introduce another guest that you helped arrange for us, and that is, he's an attorney up in Antrim County for William Bailey. For those that don't know, William Bailey is the man who sued the county over the election in Antrim, where the machines made some mistakes, and we're told that the clerk up there, this was nothing intentional, it was just an accident. But Matthew DiPerno is an attorney for William Bailey, the resident who filed suit, and is on the other end of our line. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Thanks for having me on. And Patty, I have Russell Ramslin with me. He was trying to call in but couldn't get through, so he's joining us as well.
Patty, let's have you introduce Russell.
Great. So Russell was working with Matt DiPerno. He was the one who actually conducted the forensic examinations on the 16 Dominion machines. They flew in, and it took about 8.5 hours for them to conduct the investigation, and they were able to present the results of the investigation. I don't know if Russell was satisfied with the ability to present all of the information that he found, but hopefully he can tell us about that.
Well, he was, in fact, he did present it as a member of the Allied Security Operations Group, where he's an IT investigator, and he is on the line, we understand. Russell, good morning to you. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. I'm delighted to be here, Frank, and I'll be happy to answer or discuss anything about our findings. We believe that, it's a whole team that we have, and I'm sort of the guy that speaks English. The rest of them all speak Cyberese. But the fact of the matter is this system is incredibly compromised. You can go in at the local level with people that want to change votes and change the election. The voting company software itself has incredible vulnerabilities, as we have been pointing out for 2 years. And even international actors, we think, have gotten into the game. One of the things people need to first understand is that when you vote and put your ballot in, it'll either go into what's called an adjudication file, and that means whoever's running the election gets to vote it however they want it to be, or else it'll go into a regular file. And one of the things we found in the logs of the system are that 68% of the events that took place on that computer were flagged as errors. Now, that doesn't mean 68% of the votes were compromised. There may be 2 or 3 error messages for every vote, but they were put into a bucket that was then totally at the mercy of the operator, and the log that is supposed to be in that computer as to what the operator did is missing. It is gone.
Matthew, and those results may not, in Antrim County, may not have a big impact on the overall Michigan vote, but it's the point that there was a problem that could have been repeated elsewhere and skewed other ballots as well. So we thank you for joining us and for your efforts as a watchdog. Patty McMurry, keep up the great work, and we'll be sure to follow you at 100% Fed Up.
100%fedup.com. Thank you.
All righty. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for your donation to Mitch's great charity. We thank you so very much.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for having me.
Beckmann Show coming up on your airwaves, whether you're on StreamYard with us or on WJR. We'll continue in a moment. Right now, traffic and weather is first, and here is Rich Lazinski.
2 lanes are blocked on I-696 westbound at Middle Belt.
Good work, Patty.
Thank you,
the roadway
Frank.
there.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It was really good. You were good. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Enjoy those kids.
And to yours. How many kids have you got?
I have 3, but they're all adults now. My youngest one is a freshman at Michigan State, so unfortunately she hasn't been able to go to college, but hopefully this next semester she'll make it to campus.
You don't look old enough to have kids that age. So.
Yeah, well, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Really nice having you on. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, Frank.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Bye-bye.